begin with the top stories you need to know. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with his Quad counterparts, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Japan's Takeshi Iwaya, and Australia's Penny Wong at the US Department of State in Washington. Just a day after Donald Trump issued an executive order declaring that the US Constitution no longer grants birthright citizenship to people born on American soil, Arizona's Democratic leaders are pushing back in a lawsuit that aims to nullify the action. Russian President Vladimir Putin held a video call with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday, in which he proposed further developing their strategic partnership just hours after Trump was sworn in as the 47th US president. And Trump is set to announce up to $500 billion in the private sector investment to bolster the country's artificial intelligence infrastructure. Backed by OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle, the Stargate venture will begin with a data center in Texas before expanding to other US states. Dozens have been killed in a fire that engulfed a popular Turkish ski resort hotel, leaving some to jump out of windows. Our big focus, the first Quad ministerial meeting of Australia, India, Japan, and the United States since Donald Trump took office was held on Tuesday. A joint statement released after the meeting confirmed that officials from the four nations will meet regularly in the coming months to prepare for the next Leaders Summit, which will be hosted by India. The meeting, hosted by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on his first day in office, saw foreign ministers from all four countries, as you can see on your screens, reaffirming their opposition to any unilateral actions aimed at changing the status quo through force or coercion. Now, their statement also emphasized their shared commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific, reflecting concerns over China's expanding influence in the region. Well, with Trump beginning his second term, analysts suggest countering China will be a key focus. But for further clarity, we have with us live from Washington, D.C., Voice of America's correspondent Jessica Stone joining us. Thanks so much, Jessica, for making time for us on NDTV. Jessica, is the Quad's strategy likely to change under this renewed leadership? And how do the Quad nations actually fit into Trump's broader foreign policy?
Well, I think your assessment is right, that this is really about countering China. And actually, I think one of the things we'll be looking for over time is whether Marco Rubio, who has a very anti-China, hawkish stance on China, continues to sharpen the focus of the Quad on countering China. You know, it's sort of been implicit but not explicit as a goal of these four countries. And one of the things I'm watching for is how explicit he will make it over time. Certainly, this is very significant. This is the first bilateral meeting that this Secretary of State had. And almost hours after taking office, he held these meetings all afternoon here in Washington, D.C. with these three other countries and their foreign ministers. And the discussions were wide-ranging, open, stable, and prosperous Indo-Pacific being the goal of those talks. And we know that deepening cooperation in the commercial sense, the security sense, are all part of that. And as well, I would add that what we got from Australia is an even finer point than we heard from the minister from India, which is, we quote, also strongly oppose any unilateral actions that seek to change the status quo by force or coercion. That is a phrase we often see in the statements after these meetings, and it certainly does give us a sense of them talking about China and Taiwan in particular.
Jessica, thanks so much for taking us through all the details. Do stay on with us for the next update. But before that, we have with us Glenn Carl, former CIA officer, to also shed light on it from an intelligence perspective. Thank you so much, Glenn Carl, for joining us. Now, from an intelligence perspective, how do you assess the significance of the Quad's growing collaboration in the Indo-Pacific, especially in light of China's expanding presence in the region?
Well, as the person just before us said quite accurately, the Quad has always been an amorphous, soft approach nascent organization, which the Russians and the Chinese have immediately denounced as a nascent NATO in Asia. And the indications are that happily is sort of becoming an accurate characterization. This meeting seems to have come out with statements that went clearly in the direction of a strategic relationship rather than one that restricts itself to coordinating pharmaceutical distribution or supply chain efficiencies. So Rubio is an internationalist in the Republican Party, as opposed to his president. So there will be a clash there probably, but this was an affirmation of the strategic direction that certainly the U.S. and Australia have wanted, and Japan have wanted the Quad to go. And India has, without saying so, grudgingly, slowly, and then increasing enthusiastically going along with.
Right. But so, with Trump's second term now underway, how do you anticipate his approach to national security will evolve, if at all, particularly in regard to China and the Quad? Any specific actions might we expect in terms of intelligence operations or policy?
Yes, well, I think all of us who watch Trump know that he doesn't really have a lot of beliefs. He has sort of emotional positions, reflexive positions. However, there is one philosophical position that he has been consistent with his whole public life, and that is he is an isolationist. And he is a mercantilist who likes to make bilateral deals. Now, that approach and his hostility to multilateral organizations in general will undermine America's traditional alliances, and that would run against strengthening the Quad. But his hostility to China would go more in the direction that Marco Rubio seems to have started to take things today. Right. I think we can look for clear bilateral deals. He'll say something to Mr. Modi like, well, you can't send we aren't going to take any more of your engineers and scientists unless you buy more military aviation parts or something to that effect. Right. So it will be transactional and not multilateral.
Well, transactional is something that Trump has sort of been known for, lending to his first term. But thank you so much, sir, for joining us on NDTV. Really appreciate your time, Glenn Carl. Meanwhile, our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, has highlighted the significance of this meeting taking place within hours of the Trump administration's inauguration, emphasizing its importance in the foreign policies of the member states. As we've been covering, Mr. Rubio's reputation as a staunch China critic precedes him. But what exactly does his appointment mean for India? Here's a report.
Marco Rubio, the 53-year-old senator from Florida, has officially taken over as the U.S. Secretary of State. Unanimously confirmed by the Senate, Rubio becomes the first Latino to hold this prestigious position under President Donald Trump's new administration. Rubio's confirmation was historic, not just for its unanimity, but also for the bipartisan support he received. He's been praised for his intelligence and deep understanding of foreign policy.
Senator Rubio, I've always been impressed with your view, particularly on a 50,000-foot level, of the kind of problems that we face in our lane, and national security lane, foreign relations and intelligence.
Rubio's reputation as a staunch China critic precedes him. Beijing has sanctioned him twice for his outspoken criticism of their human rights record and policies in Xinjiang and Hong Kong.
It's China and the risks they pose. I'm not sure in the 240-some-odd-year history of this nation we've ever faced a competitor and potential adversary of this scale, scope, and capacity.
This hawkish stance is likely to shape U.S. diplomacy, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region, as Rubio aims to counter China's growing influence on the world stage.
India in and of itself is a nation with incredible potential, and there's incredible potential in our bilateral relationship.
Rubio's connection with India aren't new. His legislative record and public statements show a consistent effort to deepen ties between Washington and New Delhi. He introduced the US-India Defense Cooperation Act, calling for India to be treated at par with key US allies like Japan, Israel, and NATO members for military collaboration and tech sharing. Rubio has also pushed for cutting US security aid to Pakistan. His strategic vision places India at the heart of the US Indo-Pacific strategy, focusing on defense, trade, and technology partnerships to counter China's growing influence. Rubio believes aligning with India's expertise would strengthen global democracy's ability to compete with authoritarian regimes like China. Rubio's bond with India extends beyond diplomacy to his engagement with the Indo-American community. Florida is home to a large and vibrant Indian diaspora, and Rubio has worked hard to build bridges with this influential group. With Rhythm Arcadia, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
And just after a day that Trump issued an executive order declaring that the US Constitution no longer grants birthright citizenship to people born on American soil, Arizona's Democratic leaders are pushing back in a lawsuit that aims to nullify the action, lambasting it as unconstitutional. In fact, in a two-pronged strategy, the Grand Canyon state joined Washington and Illinois in filing a lawsuit against Trump and the United States government in a Washington state federal court, while 18 other states, San Francisco and Washington, D.C., filed a similar lawsuit in a Massachusetts federal court. Jessica Stone from VOA is still with us for the latest on this. Jessica, so Democrats are now increasingly criticizing Trump for attempting to erase this constitutional protection he has no power over, is what they assert. And now many are criticizing the move to end birthright citizenship as un-American.
Yeah, they're saying that it's literally prevented in the Constitution, and that's the grounds upon which at least the first lawsuit that was filed by 18 states and 2 cities was filed today in federal court. They argue that birthright citizenship is protected under the 14th Amendment of the US Constitution, that it's literally automatic for children born to non-citizen parents inside the United States, and that neither the president nor the Constitution has, or the Congress has, any constitutional authority to revise it. And 4 other states also filed a second lawsuit along these lines as well today in the Western District of Washington. You know, just to give you some insight into the impact of this, California estimates that this would impact 20,000 children would lose their citizenship each year in the state alone if this continues to be the case. It's going to be given 30 days to put into effect, to give the agencies that have to administrate it a way to implement it. That itself represents a challenge to figure out how to do that. But the crux of it is that this is presidential power versus the Constitution. And I think it's important to remember that we have a leader in the United States who's a negotiator, and he often starts in a very wild section of negotiation to get to another location. And that certainly we have to bear that in mind as we watch these things unfold.
Thank you so much, Jessica, as always, for joining us with the latest. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization expressed regret over the US decision to withdraw from the organization. We have a reaction from the WHO. Listen in.
The World Health Organization regrets the announcement that the United States of America intends to withdraw from the organization. We hope the United States will reconsider, and we look forward to engaging in constructive dialogue to maintain the partnership between the United States of America and WHO for the benefit of the health and well-being of millions of people around the globe.
By the way, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in sharp remarks, has said that US President Donald Trump is trying to create uncertainty in his trading partners to knock them off balance and weaken their negotiating position. Trump sparked volatility in currency markets by signaling that his administration may impose tariffs of up to 25% on Mexico and Canada as early as the 1st of next month. This move appears to contradict an executive order he signed, directing US officials to review trade and border relationships and report back by the 1st of April. But just listen in to what the Canadian Prime Minister had to say.
Canada provides many of the necessary inputs that the American economy is going to need in order to grow and boom economically, whether it's energy, whether it's critical minerals, whether it's fertilizer, whether it's uranium. These are things that Canada provides from nearby, affordably, securely, reliably, particularly when alternatives are more of the same things from China or Russia or Venezuela or elsewhere around the world. We are confident that the facts bear out that this is a win-win relationship.
Well, in other news, as US President Donald Trump indicated, he may impose fresh sanctions on Russia if President Putin refuses to negotiate a deal to end the war in Ukraine. Let's actually take you through what Putin has been up to. The Russian president held a video call with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday, in which he proposed further developing their strategic partnership just hours after Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th US president. China has become a major customer of Russian oil and gas and a source of key technologies amid sweeping Western sanctions on Moscow. But as you can see, Putin and Xi Jinping, they have actually developed strong personal links that help bring relations between Moscow and Beijing growing even closer after Putin sent troops into Ukraine in 2022. But in Tuesday's call with Xi, Putin emphasized that Russia-China relations are based on shared interests, equality and mutual benefits, noting that they do not depend on internal political factors and the current international environment. News and updates continue in a moment right after this very short break. Do stay tuned.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Hello and welcome to the best of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
For 2 decades, NDTV has been a window to the world's greatest thinkers, leaders, Nobel laureates and stars at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
From Bill Gates to Shakira to Randy Zuckerberg to top ministers to what is often the biggest story, India, a global economic powerhouse. Conversations around our greatest challenges from AI to wars to sustainability Join us, NDTV's Vishnu Shom and me, Neeraj Shah, as we engage with the world's finest. NDTV at Davos from January 20th to January 25th.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
Kind attention, please. Delhi election.
Let's get you the latest from Turkey now. A fire raged through a 12-story hotel at a ski resort in Turkey's Bolu province early on Tuesday, killing at least 76 people, including 2 who jumped to escape the flames. At least 51 people were also injured in the fire at the Grand Kartal Hotel. In fact, eyewitnesses have said that firefighting took an hour to arrive. The fire prompted the government to appoint 6 prosecutors to investigate the incident, but 76 people have lost their lives so far. Let's switch tracks now. Israel's top general has resigned, citing terrible security and intelligence failures related to the deadly 7th of October Hamas-led attack on southern Israel back in 2023. Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi is the most senior Israeli official to resign over the security breakdown when thousands of Hamas-led fighters stormed from Gaza and attacked military bases, kibbutzim, and a music festival in southern Israel. A quick update from the United States now, where a rare frigid storm charged through Texas and the northern Gulf Coast, blanketing New Orleans and Houston with snow that closed highways, grounded nearly all flights, and cancelled school for more than 1 million students, more accustomed to hurricane dismissals than snow days. The storm prompted the first ever blizzard warning for several coastal counties near the Texas-Louisiana border. Thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest for you. Do stay tuned.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora, we cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Hello and welcome to the best of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
For 2 decades, NDTV has been a window to the world's greatest thinkers, leaders, Nobel laureates and stars at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
From Bill Gates to Shakira to Randy Zuckerberg to top ministers to what is often the biggest story, India, a global economic powerhouse. Conversations around our greatest challenges, from AI to wars to sustainability. Join us, NDTV's Vishnu Shom and me, Neeraj Shah, as we engage with the world's finest. NDTV at Davos from January 20th to January 25th.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
Kind attention, please. Delhi Election Metro 2025 is arriving on people's platform. Please mind the gap. BJP or AAP, who will get to the Delhi Secretariat station?
दरवाजे बाईं तरफ खुलेंगे.
Who will Delhi voters open the victory doors for? And who will be shown the door? Can the BJP throw AAP's victory run off track? Or will it be Kejriwal's ticket to win again? Can Congress take the election metro to revival? We will track it all for you. Delhi's decision destination.
Doors will open on the left.
Stay tuned to NDTV for mega metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip and the spiritual sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond.